how to remove those pesky hijackers from your Amazon listings. And no, I'm not going to tell you to send them a cease and desist letter because that can actually get you in trouble. So how do you get rid of them? I'm here to show you how. Let's go. Hey, it's me, Karina. Welcome back to my Amazon FBA channel. We're going to be discussing how to cut off those pesky hijackers from your listings. Sometimes we get them. I'm sure we've at least had one person try to piggyback off of our listing in order to capitalize on our hard-worked product and hard work sales. Well, I'm here to explain to you what you can do, what you can't do, and actually the thing that most people recommend you do can actually get you in trouble. And I just want to clear the air with that and let you know what the next best steps are for you to take if someone is trying to capture a portion of your sales when they're not supposed to be on that listing. So first, let's get a few things clear. What is hijacking? Okay, hijacking is if you put an Amazon FBA listing up of your private label product and somebody claims that they have the exact same product as you and they are selling their product under your listing, which means they don't have to create a listing at all. They can literally just list their product under your fully optimized listing, and you know that your listing is optimized if you're in my Amazon FBA program because I teach you how to optimize them fully. So anyways, by the way, before we move on to this video, if you want a product research validation guide, I did attach it below. If you're having issues with product research, I wanted to deliver it to you. So you can just click down there and get it for free down in the link. And don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up this video. So back to hijacking and what I was saying. It's actually completely within Amazon's terms of service for somebody to sell under your listing. So before you get worked up, realize that this is actually within terms of service. You see this a lot in the wholesale business model where people literally buy the brands, the big brands of the products and list them under someone else's listing. They're not getting penalized for it because they have permission to sell those items. However, with private label, it's a little bit different. Say you sell your item at a giveaway, highly discounted prices, right, in order to launch. That doesn't work anymore. It used to, and that's kind of the issue people were running into a lot. They would give away their items at a highly discounted rate. And many of them, for example, if you were in a very competitive market trying to rank to the top and you gave away, let's say, 500 units, maybe somebody went and they bought a majority of those. There's ways to protect yourself against that, but that's another video. But say they actually do have your inventory, your actual legitimate inventory, your private label product that you created, that you made, that's exactly the same. They actually have complete and full rights to sell that product under your listing. And you can't complain to Amazon about it because that's the whole point of Amazon. You are allowed to sell on under people's listings. Where it becomes an issue then is if the product they are selling is actually a counterfeit. If it's not the same product as you, if they went ahead and replicated your product, or perhaps even selling a completely different thing. In certain markets, that's possible. Say it's a market that isn't really brandable and it's something very common that they can just literally talk to China and get it the same exact thing without any branding or any logo. They can actually sell under your listing and you have no way to defend yourself because your items look exactly the same. So we're gonna actually talk about how to prevent your listing from being hijacked, and also if you do get hijacked, what can you do, okay? So how do you prevent from being hijacked in the first place? And before you click away or fast forward, listen to me, especially if you're in the product research phase. This is very, very important because certain markets are much more susceptible to having hijackers than others. And it's actually something you really need to pay attention to and really watch out for these products. If it's something very, very simple that doesn't have a design or a logo or packaging, and it's in a market that's very competitive and has high velocity of sales, you have a very, very high chance of being hijacked, okay? So there's two things you can do, right? You can go out of your way to make sure that your product is very brandable. So you have a custom packaging, you have a logo, that they cannot just buy something that's very similar and basically put an order in China and order, let's say 500 MOQ, and immediately just send it to your listing, okay? If you're brandable, then they're going to have to go out of their way, get the package, and nobody is really willing to do that. Hijackers are mostly people that are just trying to capitalize on the high volume of sales that a market or a niche has. A lot of the times they are Chinese that already have access to this inventory, so it's no problem for them to just send it off. Sometimes it is just any other third-party seller that just wants to make a few extra bucks and they're just jumping on to different listings. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you go for markets where you know that you can stand out and you can brand your product, so they won't be tempted to just order the exact same thing and ship it onto your listing. The second thing is you have to consider, is this really a market that I want to get into? Something that is so competitive, that is on such high radar. And I've made a few videos talking about those glorious looking markets where you see 100 can sales or 50 can sales. From my experience, anything above 30 to 35k a month is when the kind of the black hat, the nasty things begin to happen on your Amazon listing. And that's where you kind of almost want to go for the lower revenue. And in my program, I teach my students that 5,000 stability on the entire market is good enough. It's easier to rank, it's very low risk, and you're not going to have those hijackers because they're not attracted to a lot of effort, they're not attracted to work, they're not attracted to a market that's really not doing that hot. Or it is, if it compounds and you have several products, let's say you have 10 products that are doing 5k a month, it's pretty good, right? That's 50k. As opposed to just one product that's doing 50k and then everyone is tempted to go after it. So that's a really big thing that you can prevent yourself from doing. And another thing I want to say is the importance of actual branding. You have to have a I don't want to say have to, because people do make money off of commodities and kind of unbrandable things, but you really have to be aware, okay? And I'll tell you how to get rid of hijackers, but I want to put these things into perspective first, okay? So with branding, it's very, very important. You're trying to build a brand on Amazon, or you're trying to get awareness, and you're getting that extra protection because one, no one's going to be incentivized to actually replicate your package, and two, if you do get a trademark or brand registry later in the future, you have much more protection. And then three, there's a way that you can protect yourself, and I'll let you know that, of how to actually remove them if you do have a logo or something on your product, which really don't neglect that part, okay? Really go the extra mile to brand yourself. Another thing with branding is, like I mentioned earlier, brand registry and getting a trademark. A lot of the times, if you do it through normal ways, it does take quite some time, especially in the US. Waiting a year at least for your trademark to get approved is not uncommon, okay? It's not uncommon at all. So what do? Do you wait a year to have those extra rights? Because Amazon does favor people with brand registry. You have more protection. You can get rid of hijackers with much ease, but many people don't want to wait a year. So what do? Okay? You can actually, here's some situations that you can do. You can actually apply for a trademark in other countries that their process is a lot shorter. So you can apply in one country, let's say Mexico, or in Europe, the United Kingdom, and they deliver your trademark in 3 months. Now, you're not going to be, oh, by the way, disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not giving legal advice, I'm just letting you know of your options. So if you want more actual professional research and opinion and actual facts laid down, I do suggest hiring someone that is credible in this field. I am not, but I'm just sharing an idea for you of something to look into. So don't take this advice and do it. Do your own research, get a professional to help you out. I'm just giving you ballpark range ideas, okay? So look into those other countries. They don't transfer the trademarks, so you're going to eventually have to get it in the US in order to be protected. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so don't take this to heart. I'm just giving you, my perspective and my experience. Or Amazon came out with the IPA program, which you can actually, they partner with lawyers and companies, firms, so you can apply for a trademark through them, and then you get brand registry as your trademark is being approved. So that's a huge advantage, and the process for that is much faster because they're actually partnered with Amazon. So when you have that kind of protection and brand registry, you can get rid of hijackers much easier because you have brand protection within Amazon, and if you go through their kind of sources, then they deem that as credible, okay? Again, it's another profit thing for them, but I'm not complaining because you are also getting the bonus of having it approved faster. So this is the main point of the video what I wanted to talk about. If you're starting out or if you don't have a trademark or brand registry, what do you do if you have a hijacker? Well, first off, you have to really identify, how did they get my inventory? Is this my inventory, or is it just random things that they're trying to sell under, right? If you did some high coupon discounted giveaway, which if you're part of my program, there's no reason why you should be doing that, then perhaps somebody does have access to your units, okay? Figure out how many units they have, and well, how they got them is probably through giveaways, and maybe they have 1 or 2 or 5, and in that case, it's not too terrible. They're gonna sell out. You can even buy them. That's fine. The bad problem is if they are replicating your units. Let's say your supplier has gone rogue, which is actually not that probable. Some do it, but usually not. That's just a rare occurrence of happening. Maybe that's the case, or maybe someone's literally sending in really cheap inventory that's not even yours, and that can lead to problems because the reviews you get from that are going to accumulate under your listing, and that's not good for you. Because if you went out of your way to pay for a higher quality product, to have the packaging, and you have your packaging in your photos, and they don't, they just have some cheap China product that was the cheapest one that they're just trying to get the sales from, then you're going to get all those bad reviews to your listing. There's not a separate listing, and that's kind of the big concern. Plus, you're missing out on the sales, right? So identify which case that is. When you actually figure out if someone actually has your inventory or not, what you can do is do a purchase of their inventory. So you purchase from their store your product, and at the same time you obviously have a copy of your product. If you don't, then you can send one to yourself from your Amazon inventory. It gets to your house, and then you take photos of them and you send them to Amazon, a side by side. Say, this is why I mentioned the importance of logos. You have your logos, you have your design, your product packaging, and they most likely won't, okay? Then Amazon will see that these are not the same products, and Amazon always takes the customer into priority, so they're going to favor you, hopefully, and most likely, okay? What you don't want to do, and again, disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer, so get actual seeking professional knowledge from this, but this is something that no one talks about at all, and it's something you should note, okay? You can't, sending a cease and desist letter is basically you're threatening to sue somebody, right? You're saying, if you don't remove your product or whatever, I'm gonna sue you, okay? That's actually called a transgress, so they can actually sue you for threatening to sue them, which doesn't make sense if you think about it logically, but the reasoning behind it is that you are instilling fear in them, and that inhibits their performance, and they don't work as they would have, because it's almost like there's a threat to them. So that's what a cease and desist letter can do, and if they really take it to the next level, they can actually sue you for sending them that letter. So that's not really something you want to do. What you can do is actually send them a message and just ask them, hey, you know what, this isn't your product, but take it down, something along those lines. But you don't want to really take any legal action unless you're actually willing to sue them, which in that case, I mean, if you have every reason, if they're really harming your listing, then maybe that's the road you want to take. Again, don't take any of this as legal advice, but just really do some research. And a lot of the times they will ignore the letter because everyone just says, send everyone a cease and desist letter, so they pretty much know that it's not real when you do send it to them. Especially the Chinese, the ones that are doing this, they're experienced, they're doing this not just to your listing, but to many others. So those little pesky letters, don't threaten them at all. They know that you're just a third-party seller that doesn't actually have a lawyer. So unless you're actually willing to take that legal action, then you can send it to them, okay? But that's up to you, and again, get a lawyer's consultation on this. But I personally wouldn't send a cease and desist letter. I would send them just a message to say, hey, you know what, cut it out. And if not, then just send it to Amazon and let Amazon take care of it, because they take counterfeits very seriously as well, and they can just shut down their listing. But again, what you really want to think of if you are at whatever stage or your next product is, what market am I getting into? And do I want to get into a competitive market where I can potentially have hijackers? Or is it good to kind of go low risk and chill under the radar where you can get your sales and not be bothered? I hope this video was helpful. Get your product research guide down below. It's going to help you a ton. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'll see you in my next video.